My phone says 5:30. I think we've got everybody here pretty much. So we'll call the meeting to order. We're going to introduce boards and guests. So we'll start with you, George.
Okay. George Mitchell, board.
Ed Van Haley, board.
James Junior, staff.
Sorry, Jane. Susan Borgmeyer, board.
John Humphrey, board.
Amanda, I know you're with us.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know if you were
Staff.
staff yet.
Just
Amanda
jump
doing
in.
staff.
Marvin Blake staff.
Dan White, staff.
Robin Myers staff.
Georgie McNamara, staff.
I'm Holcomb, staff.
Teddy Rowland, board. Now we'll go online. So I see we'll start with Roger.
Roger Montero, staff.
Tammy Kemp, board. Lindy Willoughby, staff.
Melinda Barnett, staff.
Kristen Yates, staff.
Shannon Maloney Navarro, staff.
Jillian Braun, staff.
Jillian Rainingbird, board.
Okay. Think we got everybody. If anybody got missed.
Angie said she'll be online in like 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay. All right. We'll watch. All right. With that secretary's report, we did get minutes that were emailed to us. Susan? Yes. Does anybody have any corrections or additions to those minutes? And I move they be approved as. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed to those minutes? I think they're pretty well covered it. Let's jump right into our presentation. Marvin, you're up.
Evening, everyone. This evening, right? Quarterly property update, April 2022. We're wrapping up our first quarter preventative maintenance schedules on all of our facilities. And this includes an inspection of HVAC systems, fire systems, devices, our elevators, which we have 2 cars, elevators along with the call box operations and backflow devices in the building. We also do a spring and fall lighting inspection. The spring was completed. And we've also, we've had all the repairs that were found needed repaired during that time, except for there was a condenser fan motor that we take readings on motors to see how they're dropping in voltage or wobble in the shaft for the fan blades. And we have one up there that's given us a problem. We don't want it to go out when it's 50,000.
Relatively new.
No, it's the old original unit from the building built. OEM, original equipment. And that and the fan blade, when you replace a motor, you always replace the fan blade. That's just a common call on that. So that's scheduled to be done on the roof here at 8511. We'll jump into provider facilities. Ability KC, we have a roofing repair on a flashing that is scheduled for this week. It's where the flashings come together. The building is kind of a step up. And so where those flashings come together, there's separation, age, whatever. There's separation in there, and they're going to need to peel that back, reflash it, and then reseal it. That way, because you can put caulk on it forever, and it's going to separate. When it heats up, it's just that metal's going to separate. But I did find that the building was cleaned up outside. The bushes were all cut. The trash was hauled away. And again, with all of our properties, general maintenance is completed when reported. At Blue Valley, we had a drain cleared in the middle of the workshop. They have something going on down there, and it stopped up right in the middle. And so we got that removed. I removed the extension pipe from the drain outside. That's going to be our winter fix until we can bury all of that pipe underground. $110,000 for that pipe. How much? About 110 grand. It covers that whole length from the north. It's going to be, let me get my directions here. It's going to be the northeast corner, and it goes all the way to the northwest corner. and the concrete is literally shelling away from the foundation. And that pipe that runs in there, there's 5 sections, large sections of concrete that is starting to fall. Like an edge chipped off, so we went in and repaired that to get the trip hazard out. But that building around there, that concrete was just deteriorating really bad. And so in order to bury that pipe, now originally that pipe was put there to get the water off the roof in a heartbeat, which it worked. No more water inside the building and that. But man, when it comes out of there, it comes out of there.
It smells extremely expensive.
It is, and so we had it bid at about 80,000. And then guess what happened to the price of concrete? I was amazed. I was appalled at first. I thought, what? We have a concrete plant right down the road here. I was working all kinds of deals, but it's just, that's what it is. And so right now, it was not a good time to try to plan that. But it's going to need to be done down the road for the safety of the sidewalk, at least. And we're fortunate enough that that section is between the DPI entrance and the side of Blue Valley. So there is somewhat of a path, but not a big path. But we have done repair through there to take the safety of it. But that is a 10-inch to an 8-inch pipe that comes out of there. And when it comes out, it moves. So we have to dump it out farther than that. Well, some of the cost is that when you get down there to the city storm sewer, it's all collapsed.
Could it flush out there into the field just north of the parking lot?
It goes into that retaining, there's a retaining like pit down in there that you would never see until the water built up to like 4 feet. Because it's all sunk down and the ground is built up around it. So I dug it out 2 years ago just to see when we were having all that problem. And it was just, it's working, but not to the volume of water that it should be.
Are they clay pipe?
No, PVC. So it's newer, but yeah. Anyway, that pipe was removed. That was the reason it was put in there to begin with. And like I said, it worked. Because the first time I went down there, there was an ice rink down there. And we called all hands on deck. It was totally unsafe. There was nothing we could do about it at that time. But we got down there, and between the guy doing their snow removal and our picks and everything else, we got the ice removed and got it thawed out. But then we've got to get this water somewhere else. And we were able to then push it out and go down in the storm drain. But what we found out is down at the end of that parking lot, that drain's collapsed. So that's where the cost comes in, because the city's not going to come in and do that. That takes away that whole front walk and everything. So we're going to need to do some more exploring when we get down into that. But first of all, it was just getting the water out of the Blue Valley building, which was accomplished. And now what we do with the monsters, and put some thought into it. May 4th, they are scheduled for another, we're going to do a startup. Our TipCon, they merged with another company. So you get new help and you get unfamiliar faces. And at one time, they had all of our preventative maintenance messed up. I got guys out there with gauges on the roofs in February. It's like, no. You're not going to get a pressure reading in February. And then you're going to come back in June and tell me you need to add some Freon because you released a Freon doing the test in February. Anyway, we've got all that straightened out. And now they've come with me with a spreadsheet with all the names, buildings, and dates. So now I have solid dates for preventative maintenance for all the buildings. I've asked for it for years. Finally got it. Why? Because they switched staff. They do things totally different now, which is cool. That gives us an advantage of being able to inform people in the buildings, the users of the buildings, so when they're coming. It's like Rainbow Options 2 today. They were finishing up and actually caught a tech replacing a capacitor on a fan motor. Nobody knew he was going to do that. So I made the phone call, and they promised me. So we'll find out. But at least the work was done, and that did complete our HVAC inspections for this quarter. DPI Prospect, We signed the bid for the completion of the glazing repair of the exterior windows, north side lower. In other words, we put in new windows and stuff around there, but yet we have some glazing on the existing lowers that need to be repaired. So we got all that covered. Bids was signed, wasn't that much, but we do everything. We sign contracts. DPI Independence, they were having major problems with their front door, and come to find out it was communication between Jade and their phone provider that weren't connecting and talking to each other, and the front door problem was part of all that. So I got involved with Jade. Jade got involved with the provider, and now it's fixed. Long way to get the door fixed, but now their door's done. Didn't really have a whole lot to do with me, but you know, it didn't really matter. They needed the help and they reached out to me, and that's. I have job one Grandview. During our inspections, we found 2 bad heat exchangers. Is everyone familiar with a heat exchanger is? Care to know? Let me put it real simple. You build a fire and you put a box above it, and you take air and you run through the box because the fire heats the air in the box, and then you push it out the other way. And that's the simple version. If there is a hole or anything in that box called the heat exchanger, which is exchanging this heat for this heat, you get carbon dioxide through there, and you can't have that. You can't have that at all, right? That sets off alarms that you quit it, you turn stuff off. So our 2 large units out there on that building were replaced with brand new, because even though we did the due diligence and we did get the warranty on the heat exchangers, they were 9 months out, even if we could get them. So the decision was made, because we were in winter, and we all know what no heat in a building during the winter could do, we replaced the units. So they gave us a great deal on them. They came out, they craned them, they had to lift them clear across the building as normal. Jade gave us a great deal on we have alarms wired through those units, because those were a victim of theft a few years back. So that's wrapped up and taken care of, but that was a big deal that we didn't see coming. But it was,
Y'all may remember the board did a special budget amendment to cover that. I think it was about $53,000.
Mhm. And I appreciate that, and I'm sure they do too, because we were kind of stuck back behind the wall. We went through, and there was a dead tree just kind of sitting out in the middle that I just kind of measured it up and said, well, when it falls, it's going to hit something.
Job one Grandview?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, job one Grandview. So we removed the dead tree, and went over there. They gave me a killer deal. So I had them went ahead and they cut all the overhanging limbs off of all the buildings and went through all the fence lines, and then removed all the volunteers from around all the buildings and cleaned it up real nice. Ground the stumps, hauled off all the stuff. You couldn't even tell they were there. There was a monster job, but it was awesome. And so that really cleaned that up area. We were finding a lot of stuff. I was finding stuff in doorways and things that shouldn't have been in doorways, like drug paraphernalia and stuff of people using the area after business, I'm sure. So we just wanted to make sure we got everything. No one can hide in there now. Well, I can, but you need to stop it. The northwest exterior door was replaced, job one Grandview. Also, it had pretty well rotted out at the bottom. Job one Independence, we just replaced a 5-ton HVAC unit. Over a year ago, we found a bad stage. Those commercial units have 2 compressors in them, stage 1 cooling, stage 2. Stage 2 was burnt up. So we were able to cripple it through, mainly because occupancy was down. So we were still able to make the cold air and stuff, but not to the level needed. So that unit was a year out to get it. And so we got it. And it was installed last week. We're still waiting on the bottom section of the garage door. They have a walkout area there on their south side of their building. The thing's on order, been on order. We're still waiting for it to come in to replace it.
Do we get any credit when we have to buy equipment that should be covered under warranty, but because of transportation, it's 9 to 12 months out.
They gave us a break on the crane, and they actually set the wrong unit, one of the units wrong. I think they thought I was gonna have a cow because that's a 208 building and it was a 460 unit.
I've heard that about that building.
So it was crazy, but they took care of all of that, not a dime more, which you would expect them to do that.
Right.
But I had them do extra with the curbing and the ventilation that goes into that building. A lot of that stuff was rot and rusted. It was galvanized, but you know,
Right.
that sheds after a while. And they did all that metal work and stuff and didn't charge us anything extra for nothing. They stuck to that bid price all the way.
Right.
And I was out there getting every new bolt and had them put tamper-proof screws in it and stuff. That was not part of anything. So, yeah, they took care of us in that respect. They knew we were up against, because we tried everything. They searched nationwide to get stuff in here. And then you get to the shipping costs. Well, then we're having shipping problems, right? And then shipping cost goes through the roof and it's like, oh my gosh. Initial bids were coming in at 80-some thousand. I was like, no, we've got to do better than this. So it works, you know, but you have to do the due diligence and we have good relationships with these vendors. Thank goodness. Replaced units, garage door. Front crash bar was repaired. And I have on here glass block window replacement bids, but I found out today the bid's been approved. And we're still waiting on weather and supplies. Those black windows cover large areas, and when they open those walls up, they better be ready to put the walls back in. So, but I'm so tickled that those are ready to go. We have been dealing with glass block windows for a long time. And I just found out today that was approved and we're done. Well, when it gets done, I'll be very happy. North sidewalk and exit sidewalk, I did a repair. There was some safety hazard cracks in it. And our plan is to replace that section of sidewalk. We've went to 6 different companies, received 2 bids. So we're still seeking the bid for that. It shouldn't be that much. People are just insane sometimes. And general maintenance completed and reported. Nolan Manor in White Oaks, we met, when I say we, Lance and I met with Kim Robert. She's the new operations manager for CDD. And we really want to get a relationship going again with them so that they're down, they only have 1 maintenance staff for all their properties. Just 1 for now. And so we didn't know this, but we were seeing things that weren't getting done, like our Habitat house. Things were in disrepair, safety had, things that when we were really questioning what's going on here. So after meeting with her and finding us out, they're going to get us our list together that we've asked for. We're going to do inspections on our properties that we share, give to her, and then we're starting the paper trail at the Habitat house with a monthly checklist so that people will have some sort of paper trail instead of just emails that get deleted sometimes. And this way we'll follow up and we'll get to make sure.
Some of the board members and staff may not know that.
Oh,
What the Habitat House is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We partnered with Truman Habitat, and about 6-7 years ago, does that sound right?
Yeah, it's been.
We had a married couple that got married, and she lived upstairs in the house and he lived downstairs because he used a wheelchair and there was no way for them to get upstairs. And so she worked a full-time job. He didn't, but was able to have some money involved. So Habitat came to me and I said, I've got the perfect couple if we can get them approved. So we got them approved for their home. We had staff. Kristen was in on that. And Marvin and several other staff came out and we helped with the painting and all that stuff on the inside and got them in the house. Yeah, Delbert has a CP and uses a wheelchair, and we got a hoist system throughout the house. We paid for all the extra stuff they needed to use the home, and it was a really, really great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we check on it every once in a while, and CDD doesn't get enough money paid to them to do some of the repairs, and so we put a few $100s into it this year, and I think it's well worth it. And so Marvin, and I've asked Marvin and Lance to keep an eye on it and make sure that they're getting what they need.
Where's the house located?
It's
Hawthorne, it's off of Hawthorne and 23rd, and I don't remember the exact address.
Is it Kansas City?
No, it's Independence.
Independence.
And what we're trying to do through all of this is Kathy, the lady that owns the house, she really wants to be involved. And so we're working with her. We've given her a supply of furnace filters, wrote the dates on them, put on a checklist, made her another thing, showed her how to do it, and made sure if she had any problems, give us a call. She really wants to change the furnace filters. It's just, I'm yes, ma'am, you know, because if you wanted, she stood out in the front yard and clapped after I got done power washing. I had power washed the entire house and her shed, which was green with furry moss. I got it all cleaned up, and she was so proud. She came out and said how proud she was of that house. And that's how we want to keep it. We just want to keep, you know, good stuff like that. And Habitat sometimes will come and use some of the designs that we did, because we were actually instrumental in doing a lot of the interior design. I wanted larger hallways, but because of the lot size, we got what we got. But still, they're homeowners, man. That's
The
awesome.
engineering for the whole house track was.
Yeah. He can go into his bathroom, toilet, shower, stay on the lift. We got him all the special harnesses. And last time I said, Bill, where are your harnesses at? He opens his closet, and there's like 15 brand new harnesses that's lined up. But that's him, you know. And so this thing goes all the way and will go over his bed. He can literally with a control. It's awesome stuff. It's awesome stuff. But that's why it's important that we use that as a model. There may be other individuals that need those accessibility features in those Habitat houses that they maybe go look at it, you know, and see, because it's got carpet squares throughout and all that stuff. But we pulled staples out of hundreds of carpet squares to find enough to do in the house, because they came from the school. You know, Habitat donated them to the school. They dumped them in a dump truck, and we're out there picking staples, and now that won't work. But you know, look what we got now. You know, they're on that house. It's awesome stuff. Okay, let's get back to checklist.
Sorry.
No, I appreciate that, because I just, you know, after 18 years here, I just feel like everybody knows everything. Rainbow 2, I was there today. Driveway, I repaired a driveway. We did some repair out there a few years ago, because come to find out, we own that strip between Rainbow 2 and the Mexican restaurant. I don't think they like that, because they were getting on staff for using our driveway, on Rainbow 2 staff for using that as a parking space, which that's our. So we had that asphalted, but you know how winter takes its toll. So I did a repair out there and took care of that. I actually was in the neighborhood and saw a Tcm truck. That's our HVAC vendor, and saw a technician there that I'd never seen before, and obviously he didn't know who I was. So, but they had replaced the capacitor, like I said earlier. So that was to complete all of those inspections. Southeast, Mopsine drain was cleared. We found everything in the drain that you'd find in the bottom of a muck bucket. We've asked them to put a strainer in there, and it still takes a while for it to do it, but it clogs up the strings and the hair and the good stuff in the muck bucket. That's where they dump it. That's where it clogs. I found the chemical mixer. Do we all remember the chemical mixer in the closet that was leaking? Found it leaking again. Bottom line is, I just say they need to remove it. I mean, individuals are using the area, and if somebody would go in, there's a process. It needs to be simplified. You have to turn the water off, then you have to turn the hose, this diverter off, and then you have to go over here and turn this off. It needs to just be where you can push a dang button and it dispenses the stuff. it's a chemical, like you put a concentrate in, and then you hook a water line to it, and then they fill their bottles up. And it's been suggested that economic reasons, maybe we're putting stuff in there that this owner of this unit didn't want in his. He wasn't selling the product, in other words. An assumption on my part, but I've been doing this for a long time and know that they're usually, like if I use state chemical and I put some like Chem Search in there, they'll pull that mixer out of there in a heartbeat. And I don't know that that's the problem, but now we've still got a leaking unit. So I'm going to talk to Lauren. I'm going to suggest maybe we just remove it or shortcut it. It's just going to, we're going to come in, hope not, but that's an obvious reason for a busted hose. All that bracket and stuff is plastic. We've had that happen before in another building where it just flooded out the entire office and everything because of the plastic hose connection. So we'll work on that again. Let's see. I repaired the East Drive where the buses traveled. It took 450 pounds of asphalt just for me to get to it, where I could build enough to get it to settle in where then I could put the top coat on it. So it was quite the hole. And hey, if I had money put in the budget to cut it out, repair it properly. Price of asphalt and stuff went 3 times what I budgeted, 3 times the price they gave me last year. Unbelievable. I can't let, someone's going to drop a bus in that hole, so I went ahead and took care of the repair. But it still needs to be cold. And I put some mortar mix in it. I got a little secret recipe, and it hardens hard. So, but when it pops out of the whole thing pops out. I get some use out of it. Instead of the 6 months repair, I get 1.5 years or so. But even the neighbor next door that built the big building and parks his truck on my property that we've danced before, he came down and was watching me do it. He goes, "I've never seen that done before. I'm going to try that." I'm like, okay. Sometimes you do with what you got to do. And so we've finally got the product. Once we get some dry weather and going on, we're going to start the roof warranty work on Southeast. What's happened as the drains, they wash her down, they bolt, they've migrated up now, so our drains are this far above the roof surface, and there's no way they're going to drain. You'd have to get 3 to 4 inches of water up on the roof to work the drain. And by then, it's going to find the least pass resistance, and those drains aren't going to do anything. So they're going to lower the drains and everything. This is all part of warranty work. The company that put that roof on is no longer in business, but the manufacturer is going to honor our warranty. We've had inspectors out and the whole thing. They were aware of it from the get-go, and so they're going to take care of it. We were waiting on product because they didn't have the raw material to make the product, but now we're moving right along. Yesterday was Tuesday. I'm sorry, my days are messed up. This is actually today. We're doing a lighting upgrade at Southeast. We're completing the lighting upgrade at Southeast. And our problem is that in today's technology of LED lighting, we installed a light fixture today as a sample. The ProServe is coming out and just being awesome about this. They're giving us different samples and actually coming out and mounting them to see how the light is. Well, we had one mounted today. I saw the picture and I said, "Bear asked Ms. Hall if that's too bright." Sure enough, it's too bright. So we're at this dilemma where the specs show that this light needs to be this bright to give you the amount of light you need on a work surface, but yet it's too bright for some if they look straight at it. We did this to another room in there, and we took out 16 fixtures and replaced it with 6. We got the same response at first, but not from the individuals, but from staff, that it was too bright. So we bought some shields around them. Very expensive. But the only thing those really do is to keep the reflective off the upper wall and the ceiling. Doesn't do anything for this. Not heard another word. The individuals love it. They've not said anything. I don't see anybody wearing sunglasses like they said would happen. I mean, I walk in there and I can see, I could lay this down and see plain as day, whereas before they actually had work lights. I saw people working with headlamps. You know, it's those kind of things and you're like, I'm old now and I'm straining. I can understand if you have some eye problems finding the work surface. So we're at that turning point right now with their lighting upgrade.
Haven't they also moved things around to accommodate the new products and stuff?
Yeah, I was getting back to
Move the
that.
lights around to light the new.
Yeah, the tables were all under work lights, and then now that because of COVID and working at different projects and stuff, the tables have now all been moved, and probably 60% of them are not under a work light at all. So that's why we were looking at more of coverage instead of individual lighting. But we don't want, we're only talking 5,000 K, and I know that sounds a lot, but those bulbs, those fixtures can go up a lot higher. Now they can be dimmed, but to dim those is to wire every fixture into a master panel onto a dimming mode, which is very expensive.
It was still 5,000 K light.
You can dim it down, but you know what that does to an LED with that driver. I mean, it just messes them up. So we would, anyway, we're still working on the right fixture for the job and we're not gonna stop it until, I'm sorry.
Could we put the shields back on the light fixtures?
No, we never took the shields off.
So even with the shields on, it's still too bright.
We're talking about a fixture, a sample fixture that was installed today in an area to see.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a word that room where the shields were put on is too bright. I've not heard any that it is too bright or whatever. And the one person that was mainly really concerned about it 2 weeks later wasn't there. And so I ask every once in a while, Javier's there now, and I ask him, hey, let's do right. No. So they want more light. They're after light. And now we just gotta be creative. Since we have our budget, we need to be creative, what lights and how we place them. 'Cause those old gymnasium lights that are in there, they're just gnarly. So anyway, that's the update on that as far as LED lighting goes. And like I said, we're working with staff and their needs to get the best fit for the lighting fixtures. We're not just going in there and installing stuff. They were instrumental in getting the other ones in there. People aren't used to that kind of technology, I guess. When you go from a T12 light, one single light bulb with a plastic tube over it, 4 feet off your head, you're just not used to that. So anyway, we're continually working on that and we'll get that straightened and get a fixture that works for everybody and we'll get it done. Here at 8511, engineered error, 2 years or so after we bought this building, we had to have the heater replaced. It was way undersized. They were shutting all the vents on the second and third floor to force the air down here to get the heat to rise. So we replaced the heater. Well, sometimes we'll come in and there's no heat. Go up on the roof, it's in flame failure, which is saying that it's not recognizing that there's a flame before it opens the gas valve to light this huge burner to heat this building. So it's intermittent doing this. I'm done with it. I called everybody out here, had a little powwow, and now the makers of the unit are going to meet us on the roof. It's supposed to be this Monday, but the tech got COVID. So I said, you guys stay away for 2 weeks because we're going to be working in close proximity inside that heater. You need to be COVID free. But they're going to provide training and follow-up repair on this burner. So they're going to come out and do all this for us. And we're going to get in there and we're going to make it an education learning for everybody, including engineered error. We had a roof leak. Some of you here know we had a roof leak. I chased that thing for a long time. Finally found it, I hope. It's been dry so far. We are taking bids currently to see what it would cost to repair that roof. That roof is an original membrane roof. If you don't get the air pressure set in the building correctly, it'll blow up like the Marshmallow Man. It'll blow the front doors open of the building. So for all these that we control, these will tear the heck out of things. And so I've been working on this roof for a while, and I'm hoping that I've got this leak fixed before we can get up there and get everything, because we were leaking gallons of water through this building. So I feel confident. Well, I don't know about confidence is the right word, but I feel good about the fact that I may have found the leak. Our elevator inspection, city come out and did a full-blown elevator inspection. We had nothing but problems after they got out of the car. I mean, we had people stuck in the elevator, we had fuses blowing, I had more service technicians out here, and I just, they were like, what's up? We have no problems with anything until the city comes out and gives us a full-blown inspection, and then it's just.
But no hydraulic fluid.
No hydraulic fluid leak. Yeah, that's another.
That was fun.
That was the first day I really think you heard me cuss from the stairwell. So anyway, we're working on this elevator. It's done. The call box, the only thing the city found is when he went in and pushed the button and the lady answered the phone, she didn't say what our address was. And he goes, well, I can write this up or not. I won't write it up if you can get it fixed. Well, he went ahead and wrote it up. It was a deficiency. So Jay took care of it on a computer in 20 minutes. And so that was taken care of. Unbelievable. But hey, it was done. 8508 is pretty quiet over there. Inspections, prevents bug control. We did have a lady park her car from the hotel this morning. That was exciting. Anyway, Blue Springs office, got your back row all cleared out. Looks all good. You can see back there, nobody hiding in the bushes. All right. And our neighbors kind of calmed down next door to us there. Other than that, just general maintenance. Doc, we are working on a pigeon problem for Mr. Roger.
Thank you, Marvin. Appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, buddy, it's gonna be a good one. Anyway, we got pigeons back. We had pigeons, we moved them. I didn't have the heart to get rid of the swabs at the time. Should have. Now they're back,
Never turned on.
pooping on my stuff. Well, they're old now, they're all tough and hard like me. They're in like 10-year swabs or more, but I didn't have the heart to exterminate them. I should have, I guess. But we're working on it. I promise you, the poo will be gone. So that's that. And we have scheduled to do a full shop bulb replacement. We have the bulbs. We just need to schedule with Joe and JD to get the lift in there so we can get through that stuff to get those bulbs replaced. And we're gonna try to do that on a nice rainy day. Here again, just note here, we have become involved with maintenance upkeep with the Hawthorne Street Habitat House. We've talked about that. I wanted to bring up the fact that what we're finding here in the spring, there's been a lot of damage done to the properties because of the extreme amount of rock salt being left up against metal door frames and sidewalks. It doesn't take long when they're using rock salt. What we're finding with rock salt is it just hangs around forever. And we have literally spent thousands of dollars replacement of doors, parking lots, and cement. And we're just finding more and more rock salt used and stacked up ever before. Couple concerns I have is that rock salt, when it's left by entry and exit doors and steps, and it's not swept away, becomes slip hazards. Doesn't really crunch up too much, tends to roll. People wear flat bottom shoes and different things in the summer and stuff. It really needs to be taken away from those. And if I'm out there and have a room, I've swept many doorways off. And another problem I'm having is we'll go into the buildings and we're finding the wrong light bulbs installed in fixtures and some old bulbs put in fixtures, and they'll go out sooner. And what we're finding, that's just wearing out and burning out our ballast. So we try to make sure everybody knows that this is a T8, this is a T12, this is high pressure sodium, this is mercury vapor. In other words, we get involved, you know, we try to help them best we can, but we're still finding old T12s put in new T8 fixtures. That's so cool. So, but we're working. Every new staff that comes in that handles that part of it, we go through the same training with them and we explain to them, and we'll move on until the next step.
The Groundhog Day.
And that is my update.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions?
Very complete. I mean, more than thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I don't see any questions. Anybody on that screen up there? You gotta wave, you gotta holler. All right. Do I want to turn it to you because we just kind of have it all lumped together here as services?
I think that would be Amanda.
Okay.
Now
Yeah.
Director of
All right.
Operations.
She's got the computer up there to
Yep.
maybe put stuff on her screen.
Yes, we will definitely be doing all of that. So I just wanted to do a quick introduction of what we're doing tonight. So we have community outreach, we have transportation department, targeted case management, we have training, we have agency relations, who will be doing a quick report for you over the first quarter. And I'm thrilled to be working with the operations team now, and they are a great bunch of supervisors to work with. So we will do. There we go. All right. So we are going to start with community outreach, which is COD, Community Outreach Department. And I will let Melinda start talking about that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Amanda. So if you can go to the next slide.
Is that right?
No, it looks like it's still on the first one.
Not on presentation mode, what we're seeing.
It's not changing our mind.
Interesting. Well, here it was it changing? It wasn't. So what do you see now?
Still just the first slide.
What about that?
No, nothing changed. It's kind of like the view of when you're working
So
on
what
a
do I need to
document.
do? Tell me what I need to do. I
Have
did.
you
Okay, let's try again. Sorry.
Did you share the one that's the presentation mode versus the PowerPoint? I don't know.
Hold on. Okay, I want to do screen 2. Did that work?
Yay.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that is it. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to talk about the amount of people that we served in the first quarter. So new referrals, we got 42 new referrals, and of the 42 new referrals, 37 were completed with intakes, meaning that the initial needs assessment was completed and a person was assigned for support. This is double of what it was in quarter 1 of 2021. COVID seemed like it really affected our amount of referrals. And so I'm happy that it seems like we're getting back to pre-COVID now with the amount of referrals. So the average number of people that we are supporting per month in the first quarter was 98. The number of informational referral calls was 55. This was approximately the same as quarter 1 of 2021. Interesting though, with April, we've already gotten 30 informational referral calls. So for whatever reason, it seems like informational referral inquiries has really increased for this quarter already. And then the number of new referrals to community resources was 68. This is less than what it was in quarter one of 2021. This includes, though, new agencies that we're referring people to, and then also new programs within agencies that we're referring people to. All right. So next I want to talk about Medicaid eligibility and benefits planning. So we helped obtain Medicaid benefits for 13 people in the first quarter. This is approximately the same number of people that we helped obtain Medicaid benefits for in 2021 for the first quarter. The process for completing the Medicaid application has gotten longer, and so I'm happy that we're still, looks like, getting the same number of people eligible for Medicaid. And then the referrals for benefits planning and assistance, the number is 69. That is an increase from 2021 as well, quarter one of 2021. This includes referrals from TCM and from COD and from the community. So then next I want to talk about SB 40 funded supports. So in quarter one, we provided $14,030.49 in emergency assistance, adaptive equipment, and fitness memberships. This totaled 31 requests. Then we also provided $780 in dietitian services and $700 in camp scholarships. We also processed SB 40 eligibility requests for transportation. We processed 17 requests. That included transportation through us and then also bus passes. So then next I want to talk about our performance objectives. So the first is effectiveness. The first objective is individual/best informant indicate the community outreach department staff connects them to local support services and resources. The target is 90% of persons served/best informant indicating often or always on the annual survey and monthly survey. So obviously we haven't done the annual survey yet. So this is based on our monthly survey. And so 100% of people that we asked about this indicated that yes, we did connect them with local support services and resources. The next is maximize the number of people completing the Medicaid application process. The target is 90% of persons served completing the Medicaid application process. So last year we measured how many people became eligible for Medicaid, how many people we supported in becoming eligible for Medicaid. This year we wanted to dig a little deeper and see Jennifer Seidel, our benefit specialist, how she is supporting people in getting through the Medicaid application process. Oh, actually, can you go back? Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, the Medicaid application process is taking longer. It's more complicated, I think, with staffing shortages. And so we want to measure that. Quarter one, she assisted 15 people in submitting Medicaid applications or supported in the Medicaid application process. And of those 15 people, only one person was not able to, or she wasn't able to support and following through in that. So that is 94%. That's where we got the 94% from. Next is efficiency. So the objective is to minimize the amount of time it takes to provide resources to people served by COD. The number of days to provide resources is 30 days or less. And the target then is 90% in 30 days or less. And so we supported people in getting resources. 96% was what we did for helping people get resources in 30 days or less. The next one is service access. Maximize the number of people who receive services that are referred to the community outreach department from KCRO. The target is 70% of people who are referred for services who then receive services. So this objective is the same as we had last year. However, we have changed the intake process to be more assertive in contacting people and ways of contacting people. And so that's why we wanted to continue measuring with the same target and the same objective. And so it seems like we are doing good with the new changes with the intake process because the result was 88%. So then next we have the satisfaction of person served. So this objective is individuals/best informant indicate the community outreach department staff have helped them achieve their goals and address their needs. The target is 90% of individuals/best informant who indicate the community outreach department staff help me address my goals and achieve my goals and address my needs. So this is based on 2 of our satisfaction surveys, our needs met satisfaction surveys and transfer to TCM satisfaction surveys. We didn't get responses from our needs met surveys. However, we did get for the transfer to TCM surveys. And so of that, 100% of people indicated that we did help them achieve their goals and address their needs. And then we have a new objective for satisfaction of other stakeholders. And that is community presentation attendees indicate they are satisfied with information from community presentations facilitated by community outreach staff. The target is 90% of community presentation attendees indicate they are satisfied or very satisfied. We are hoping to do more presentations and get out there and represent UTAS at more events. Again, with hopefully COVID getting some better, we are wanting to do that. And so that's why we wanted to have this objective. So this is based on one presentation that we did in the first quarter. And of that, 100% of people indicated that they were satisfied or very satisfied with the information that was given.
Any questions for Melinda?
Congrats on the 100%.
I think you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Melinda, how many are in your department?
There are four people, and then we are also working closely with a contracted position, the peer resource specialist. But we have the community resources coordinator and community outreach specialist and benefits specialist and autism resources specialist.
You guys are working hard.
Yes, they are. Okay, thank you, Melinda.
Hey, Melinda, quick
Oh,
question.
here we go.
Sorry. Average sample size for any of these surveys? Like,
I'm sorry, what was that?
average sample size. Are we talking, like, I see 100%, so we're talking about 30 surveys, am I talking 5 surveys?
No, we're talking, we see there were 4 transfer to TCM surveys. And I believe 4 monthly satisfaction surveys. So it is less surveys.
Okay. No, it's good numbers. I just,
Yeah.
if we're talking about the quarter, then, as we see growth, as we go from the year-to-date numbers out there, but
It's the goal, trying to get more people to respond to surveys is our goal.
Yeah.
Because we're glad we get the positive results. It's awesome, but it doesn't really tell us how we can improve.
So,
Exactly.
are there techniques for getting people to respond? I mean, it's tricky.
People are surveyed out right now. And since it's all virtual, it is challenging, but we're trying to, you're using phone calls mainly. Is that what you're doing, Melinda? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And we have changed the process for the needs met surveys because that, honestly, that was what I was most discouraged about last year with the response rate for the needs met satisfaction surveys. And so I entered the survey onto SurveyMonkey. So I'm hoping to get more responses from that. As opposed to before I was just emailing the survey to people. So yeah, and then with the monthly satisfaction surveys, I try to contact 3 people. I mean, I contact 3 people per month and hopefully get the response from 3 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, the transfer to TCM surveys, I think, are what I get the most response from, because, they are transferred to TCM, and so I think they're more motivated to talk about their satisfaction. But yeah, we're trying to get more responses.
I have seen the surveys where, like, you complete this, then you can get entered for like the $25 Amazon gift card kind of thing. I mean, modest things that might prompt people to do that. It's tricky.
I don't like to do surveys. So,
Right.
I know,
I don't.
So when we did our assessment study 10 years ago, we gave people $25 gift cards to attend the assessment of public meetings. And the same people would just go around to
yeah, we still have vaccination.
the same set of people just, yeah.
All right, we'll move on. Are we? Yep. All right, Roger.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Melinda.
Hi, everyone. This is, so here's Dot's first quarter for 2022. Typically, maintenance is the last department I report on, but to be honest with you, when I was creating this portion of the PowerPoint, I totally forgot about maintenance, so I had to put them up on top. So we'll start with maintenance tonight. During the first quarter, maintenance completed a total of 171 requests for service. 29 of those were from outside agencies, and 142 were our vehicles, ETOS vehicles. The majority of the services performed were on ETOS vehicles for preventative maintenance. As we get closer to the warmer months, we anticipate an increase in service requests for HVAC services. This is very typical around this time of year, and so we're preparing for that. Intake. During this quarter, we received a total of 15 new requests for transportation. Of that total, 6 have been placed, with 2 still in processing. And of that total, 6 have been placed, with 2 still in processing. The remaining 7 were placed on the wait list, and so our current total number for the wait list is 21. And we've been able to manage that number fairly well. I remember at one point it was over 100 a few years ago, and Amy has done an excellent job, our intake coordinator, of processing those monthly and getting those reassessed on a regular basis. So 21, we're at 21 now, and it's a pretty good number. We continue to see a small but steady increase in transportation requests every quarter, with more than half being placed within the first 30 days. Next slide, please. Ridership. So actually, the term here I should have used was trips. Our trips were down this quarter because of we had 4 snow days. I believe it was 1 in February and 3 in March, if I recall correctly. So we had to cancel services. So our trips were, as a whole, were down. Although trips were down, we continue to see a consistent increase in ridership. The total number of active passengers is currently at 476. Now that's down by 5 from the previous quarter, but we lost 5 passengers to either relocation or retirement, and so we removed that, or that number's dropped, and we'll continue to do that now moving forward to assess of that total number how many are actually still willing or wanting to ride at some point. We currently have 293 approximately 293 that are currently being transported. We completed a total of 20,350 one-way trips with 217,983 miles driven total among all those vehicles. We currently have a mechanic position open. We now have a lube tech position opened as well. Since presenting or creating this PowerPoint, we had our lube tech that we had just recently hired. Actually, March 21st was his hire date or his first start date. Abruptly quit. Unfortunately, he decided to come in on a Saturday and set the alarm off, and we had a fiasco down there. Police, I got down here, and Joe and our other maintenance tech, and anyways, it was a fiasco. But he decided he was going to quit. I'm sorry, Tom. What was that?
Turning his badge and picking up his tools.
Oh.
Yeah. So he came down to pick up his tools, and I'm sorry. Yeah, he came down to pick up his tools, and he left his badge on the counter. By the time we got here, he was gone. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Might as well, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to say that with the number of miles that DOT drove in their trips this quarter, it was 217,983. That's 8.7 times around the world.
Oh my God.
25,000 miles around the world.
Roger, I want to tell you something encouraging. My Missouri Public Transit Association board meeting, Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember which day it was. Our executive director has set up a meeting with the Missouri junior colleges directors across the state, and especially in St. Louis and Kansas City Metropolitan Community College, to set up apprentice programs for mechanics and drivers. And so we're trying to see how we can finagle that. And so I think we'll, and she was very positive that they were very open to that. And so with the need for drivers, the need for mechanics, I think there's a good way we could get some apprentices in there and working with us as well. So.
Yeah, that would be a real big help. Just finding mechanics, the hiring pool is so small and it's so competitive, and there are $2,000 and $3,000 sign-on bonuses in some of these places, and it's really difficult to get someone in here. But we'll keep moving forward. Thanks for that, Jake. That's really great news. I'll pass that on to Joe. I'm sure he'll be very happy to hear that. Operations. April marks the beginning of our biannual route reassessment process. So we do this every April and every October. And what we do during this time is we'll look at every route and determine what adjustments, if any, are needed to improve efficiency. We typically do that by adjusting pickup times. 5 to 10 minutes is the window we try to stay within, or moving passengers from one route to another to help create spaces and shorten ride times. The goal is to maintain a level of flexibility that would allow us for placement of new passengers if that were to happen, and reduce current ride times. Our drivers continue to do a great job of providing passengers with good customer service. We're basing this on the random observations we do of our drivers and positive feedback that we're getting from passengers. What we're wanting to do in addition, something new in this quarter, and we haven't started it yet, but my goal is to hopefully get this up off the ground by next week. We've had some staffing shortages, so that supervisors haven't been able to go out and do this. They've actually been out driving, but my goal is to have supervisors go out and randomly survey passengers as they depart or board their vehicles at their respective programs. The goal is to get current feedback on their overall riding experience and any feedback regarding the driver themselves. And we're hoping to use that information along with our passenger surveys to help overall performance as one of our performance objectives.
That's great.
Yeah, but Roger, you guys have a reputation for doing a great job compared with alternative transportation. So people are lucky when they can get on one of our buses.
Thank you, Teddy. I'll pass it on. That's very encouraging. Thank you. Operations continue. Okay, so here's our other page of operations. There were, unfortunately, January was not a good month for us. So we had 3 non-injury accidents this quarter. On January 12th, one of our vehicles was backed into in a parking lot. The accident was deemed unavoidable. Our driver was not at fault. Very minor accident, really just an exchange of paint, but nevertheless, it's counted. We counted as an accident. January 22nd, one of our vehicles was merging lanes, so they were changing lanes and they failed to use or their turn signal, and when doing that, and we've clipped. We clipped another vehicle. Again, it was minor, but the driver was counseled. They received additional training, and then we monitored the driver for several weeks afterwards to ensure that the behavior had changed. Several weeks after that, the driver had resigned and has moved on to bigger and better things. So she's no longer with us. And it had nothing to do with the accident. She just found a better opportunity. On February 4th, we were one of our vehicles was clipped by a bus. I'm sorry, by a mid-sized truck that was traveling in the opposite direction. So it was a 2-lane highway. What happened was the other vehicle had just gotten too close to the center line, and their mirror had crossed over just enough where they clipped ours. Again, it was minor. It was deemed unavoidable. So again, it was just no injuries, nothing serious, thank God. And so it was a bad quarter overall, I think, as far as accidents are concerned. But we came out of it uninjured and unscathed, I think, overall. And so we're happy about that. DOT protocols are still in place regarding COVID. Now, the FDA originally extended the mask requirements to May 3rd, but as you know, the FDA and CDC have decided to drop those recommendations. And so we've done that. Currently, our drivers are not required to wear a mask, or neither of our passengers. However, we do continue our sanitation process and protocol. That is still in place. We are still checking passengers as they board, check their temperature, and look for any signs of or any possible markers of COVID. But we, since the perception of using, or since the beginning of that we started using the thermometers, we haven't had to decline anyone for transportation. But we'll continue that process just to make sure. Our performance objectives for
Roger?
first quarter. Yes, sir.
I can go back to one slide. So we're talking about the accidents.
Yes, sir.
So when they're deemed unavoidable, are they saying that? What do you mean? Because when I look at the last one, it's like, that's avoidable. It may not be our fault, but I'm just trying to figure out who deems it unavoidable.
Yeah, for our record, or for the terminology that when we use the term unavoidable, what we're saying is it's not our fault. The driver, in a practical sense, you're right. It is avoidable, but for our system of recording, we look at it as, well, there's nothing our driver could have really done to have avoided that particular incident or situation.
Performance appraisals is.
Exactly.
I was just making sure it's like,
It's a-
Voidable.
It is, yeah.
But-
Would you, we can change that to make it clear.
No.
That's a good
I
idea.
mean, if it's your system, the way that they classify, that's fine. I just want to make sure that I understand your terminology. That's all.
Okay, Roger, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious, anecdotally, since COVID, is just a driver on the highway. I feel like drivers are very aggressive and scary. Do your drivers, are they anecdotally reporting that it just feels like there's more people speeding, cutting in, cutting people off? Like, I mean, these two incidents.
They have since actually the end of March into the first part of April. I've had a couple of drivers come and tell me, "Oh, it's getting warm," and I'll ask them what they mean by that, and it's typically, some guy was riding my tail, or people are speeding by me. They're just not paying attention. They're seeing a lot of people texting and driving, and I see that all the time. So that's really unfortunate, but it's, to answer the question, and we'll probably see that moving into June and July, and into the summer months. It's gonna, people get comfortable, they get complacent, and they start, texting and driving.
More people asking people to now come into the office versus staying at home. Because I even see that just down the highway. Where are the people coming from? Oh, they're
I gotta go back to work.
They're coming back to work. Get out of my way.
Exactly. I like it better.
Thank you.
Sure. Effectiveness. So we're doing performance objectives. One of our objectives is to maximize the number of drivers demonstrating competency in the area of safety. And the way we do that is we look at X number of tests completed or trainings completed in the quarter, and how many of those had an 80% a passing grade of 80% or higher related to the training or the testing. And our target rate is 95, and we were actually at 95.3. The only reason we didn't hit 100 on this one is, let me look at a number here that I have. We had a total of 48 trainings scheduled for this quarter. 46 of them were completed, 2 were not. 2 were assigned to two different drivers who are out on medicals. So those trainings never got, or those assessments never got completed. I counted them. I wanted to make sure that that's what was assigned. So I went ahead and accounted for those. But that still put us in the 95.3.
Good.
Let me see here. Okay. Performance objective to place the maximum number of Jackson County residents requiring transportation. So this objective is what we're trying to do is we want to be able to place 75% of the applicants that are applying within the first 90 days of receiving the request. Now, the result, we're at 65.3, but that's a result of 3 months. So that's January, February, March. The one thing that I need to point out here is that February and March have not expired yet. They're still within that 90-day window. So that number will more than likely go up by the time we get into, the 1st of May, for instance, or the end of May. That number will probably go up because those 2 windows, February and March, are still active. They have not expired yet. Next slide, please.
Yep, we got you. I got you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't see it change. I'm sorry. So we're trying to maximize performance objective. Want to maximize passenger satisfaction. There are a lot of ways to do this, obviously, but we need to try to find ways to measure it. So we want to be at 95% of persons served expressing satisfaction with service through using our survey results and direct consumer feedback. And again, what we're wanting to do is do the random surveys with our supervisors to help have another avenue of data that we can compare to. In addition, we're considering maybe doing some satisfaction surveys over the phone. Contact people randomly and or caregivers and to get feedback that way as well. That way we can incorporate all of that information and then come up with a more a fresher result, because currently what we're giving you is survey results, and those are sometimes a little stale. So we want to be able to give you some element or provide an element that'll give us a fresher or updated information. Other objective is to maximize fleet roadworthiness. The target is 95% of the issues reported to maintenance via pre-trip inspection or direct reporting, to have those repaired within 30 days of being reported. So as you know, drivers complete a pre-trip inspection every morning before they leave, and they'll complete a second one in midday, and then before they go out again. So they're actually doing 4 of them every day, and then there's the one at the end of the day. So if there's anything found, if there are any issues that are discovered, they'll report those immediately to maintenance, and then maintenance will decide whether or not they need to come out. We're at 100% there. Maintenance has been knocking that out of the park. With 2 guys, they've been doing a great job. Yeah, we're good. I mean, we're good next one.
Okay, sorry, I moved to my finger and it forwarded. There we go.
Performance objectives. So we want to maximize safety by reducing incidents, accidents, and unsafe driving behaviors. This one's a little trickier to measure. Our goal is to be at 95% incident or accident free. This is a typo though. This should be, to give you a more accurate number, this should be for a 90-day period and not a 30-day period. So the average 30-day was 92.6. But when you add in the accidents and a couple of random observations, we did 124 total random observations, meaning our supervisors were logging in and viewing drivers as they're driving, or as they're doing their pre-trip inspection, as they're relating to customers. And so they're analyzing all this data and they're recording it. Anything scored above a 2 is considered negative. So anything that's scored, what we do is we grade those reviews, each one of them, with either a 1 through 4, 4 being the worst. Of the 124, we had 3 that were at a level 2. And what that typically means is somebody went to a stop sign and failed to turn on their turn signal. Or they did it, I think I've talked to you guys about this before, a California rule, where they go to the stop sign, they don't come to a complete stop, they actually just kind of roll through it a little bit. They almost stop, but not quite. That gets marked down. Or, they forgot to greet a passenger as they got on, or make sure that their seatbelt was on before they departed. So any of those things are reviewed. Again, we did 120. What did I say?
124.
Yeah, 124. 121 were all positive. So we were at 98.37% there. But when you factor in 2 of the 3 accidents were unavoidable, and the one that was preventable because it was our driver's fault, that dropped our percentage down. So overall, for a 90-day period, we're actually at 82.5%. And again, the accidents were really the ones that put us in the bunker, I want to say, especially the preventable one. That's 1/3. 1/3 of the accidents that you had were one of them was your fault. So we'll keep working on that. Again, training and preparedness, getting ready for summer. We'll get our drivers up to speed. Service access, performance objective, completely processing transportation requests within 30 days of being received. We want to be at 95%. And let me clarify this. Processing means that the request has been assessed, but not necessarily placed. It means that we've assessed it, we've come to a conclusion, we've either put them on a wait list or we've placed them on a route, but the applicant has been notified of where we are on that. Performance objective, satisfaction, person served, drivers are courteous and helpful. We got this from, we want to be at 90% of individuals surveyed. They indicated a positive riding experience with a 3 or above on the question addressing how courteous and helpful their driver is. We ended up at 98.1%. Again, this is from the survey. We're hoping that our random surveys with our supervisors will add to this as well. Satisfaction stakeholders are objective. Stakeholders who report staff are prompt in responding to requests and or inquiries. We wanted to be at 90% of that, or at a 90% percentile of the stakeholders. They either agreed or strongly agreed with that question. We were at 100%, so we did rather well there.
You had 185 surveys returned or 158?
It was just over half. I believe it was 158 out of 300.
Yeah, so we had a really high return rate for that.
That's great, Roger.
And they're great. Any questions for Roger? We're trying to keep people awake.
I know.
It's warm in here.
Wait.
Do you have videos of the crashes?
Yeah, that would do it. Yeah.
I'm seriously, I'm impressed with the two techs, so they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They are
Yeah,
doing great.
John, to answer your question, yes, we have a file. There's a police report.
I think
And
Link.
all 4 clips are there of the video from, so we keep all that.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Roger.
It's great.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Great operation down there.
I thought it was just me.
Okay, so do we need to open doors? You guys need to get up and move around.
I'm always hot, so.
It's okay.
Okay. All right. We have targeted case management is next. So Shannon is gonna jump onto that. Here she is. Okay, say something, Shannon.
Hi,
Okay, just making sure we can hear you.
everything okay? We don't have videos, so John, we won't have any videos for anything targeted case management. You can go ahead and let Roger have all of that glory. So the first quarter for TCM, the first slide you're going to see is in mid-February to late February, we received notice that we will, from DMH, that we actually get to start going back to a quote unquote normal monitoring. We do not have any modified monitoring requirements starting in April. So the transition back to the community is a huge piece. And you can see Haley Capstick as an SC on Team 5. And that information and that transition back to the community, as you can see, is a huge aspect for an SC to remember their why and why they do the support coordination position and what's meaningful to them. The very simple fact and how powerful it is to have someone excited when you walk in the door, or getting those in-person visits and hugs, or a simple fist bump when you see your people face to face is hugely important to our support coordination department. So we're very, very excited to get back to that.
And we've had SCs start that have never seen people in person because they started during COVID. So it's exciting.
No, that's an excellent point. It's going to be an interesting transition back due to several different aspects of it. So some TCM department updates. We've been in the middle of 1680-ish, supporting that many individuals for the TCM department. We've been in that range for quite a while, so we're anxious to see some possible growth over the next year or so. We've hired 4 new SCs, 3 left, not necessarily the 4 new ones that we hired. So that's probably really important to point out. And then we haven't had any transition from SCs that went to other support departments or promoted within the support coordination department. Currently with the last bullet point, we have 9 openings. So over the course of that quarter, we have very high caseloads, more now than usual. So the SCs that are still dedicated and loyal and those compassionate people are sticking around, carrying quite a bit more people than they're used to and doing a phenomenal job with that. However, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We have 4 new SCs starting at the end of April to help out with that. Yes, sir.
Are we still doing the senior support coordinators? Okay. Have we had any achieve that?
We have 1 opening for that.
Okay.
And so we're waiting till we get caseloads down a little bit before we promote, because then they have to cut their caseloads.
Oh, okay. Okay.
How many openings do we have on support coordination now?
It's 9 now, but we have 5 starting on Monday. So we're going down to 4.
Okay.
I was reading.
I was reading here.
Yeah, it changed. Yeah.
Updated.
Yeah, new slide. New slide. What? We have 4. So we didn't want to anticipate, because some people may not show up on Monday, but we really think they will. So we should only have 5 openings. Sorry. All right, next. Oops, that's not helpful.
Jumping into the performance objectives, we have 2 for effectiveness. The first one you can see is providing and writing high quality, meaningful annual plans. And the effectiveness of that and making sure that we write the quality, we measure those on reviews. Our target is to hit 92%. So that means that of those reviews, we want to make sure that 92% of them are hitting the minimum target. First quarter results, we're at 88%, which always room for improvement. But when you see turnover and everything, and there's lots of new people learning how to write quality plans, we commonly see this. So it's a work in progress that I know we'll get there. SC is monitoring the implementation. Essentially, this is our service monitoring over the past 2 years. It's been modified, so everything is through virtual, limited in person. However, virtual is still required. And what we were measuring here is really that 5-day notification of any findings that may have been found during that monitoring. Again, when you're not in person or seeing someone's environment, it's quite different. However, our SCs are amazing, and we hit 91% of the notification requirement.
Hey, on average, how many residential monitorings are there in a given month? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Oh, goodness. I would say
500.
I would say around 500. I know team 3 that I was over we were easily in the 150, 160 range. So each team's going to be a little bit different, but I would say on average about 500, maybe a little bit more.
What would trigger a 5-day notification versus an immediate notification?
A 5-day notification versus what?
An immediate notification.
5-day is just the requirement. We can do an immediate notification. Obviously, the finding is more of a DMH requirement. So if there's something, they're not meeting their objectives, they didn't meet their goals, the environment maybe wasn't as clean as it should be. So those are the information. But the 5 days really that we did a monitoring, and here's results of that monitoring. So we have 5 days to make sure we provide that notification. An emergency one would be anything urgent, health and safety. So we would want that. Typically, that's a phone call while you're there on the visit. Again, being remote, it's quite different. So we're hoping to get back into that in person. Did that answer I think it was George that asked that.
Yep. It answered.
People receiving funded services. This is all around the annual plan, including the utilization review request if it involves the annual plan. We want to make sure that we have those to our administrative assistants, and then they distribute them to the parties necessary to obtain their signatures. We want to make sure that we're hitting that the first day before the month prior to implementation so that we have plenty of time to obtain all of the signatures, get everything in place before it implements. Target is 87%, whoops, and I believe we did it at 82%. If my memory serves me.
Covered my finger, sorry.
It's okay. We had a little bit of a change, and we'll go a little bit into it in the next few slides. But objective number 2 for efficiency really revolves around the monthly logging requirement for our support coordinators. January 1, we implemented a new policy, logging requirement and policy. So we switched this a little bit. So this might look different for this quarter than what you're used to. We're really measuring to make sure the percentage of SCs that meet their minimum requirement versus amount of hours the department's hitting. We'll go into a little bit more detail about that in a little bit, but this actually is the information that reaches the individual. So it's our direct time and billable hours towards the individuals. The service access, the support coordinators, within 2 business days, we have to have an assignment. When we get anyone from intake or COD, we are really trying to make sure that we have an assigned support coordinator in the TCM department. First quarter results, I was very curious as to why it looked a little bit low. Some of like first quarter, and we might not have hit it, and it was 0 out of 1 transfers coming in. So
number.
The numbers, the percentages look a little bit, the numbers didn't look near as bad as what the percentages is reflecting. The initial service plan, we have to review log notes to ensure that when a new person is admitted or assigned to the support coordination department, that we have an initial plan within 30 days of their eligibility. And with that, we have to review plans. What we're finding is sometimes when we get them assigned to a support coordinator, tracking an individual down, making the phone calls, and getting them just used to a different person calling them is sometimes a little daunting. However, the 30-day, we review log notes to ensure that the plans and the initial plan writing is taking effect within that 30-day period. So room for growth. And I believe we're working, Amanda and Melinda and I are working to really identify what the gap is when they're transferring over as to why we can't get a hold of them as quickly as possible when they've had routine contact with the COD department, and then they come to TCM and we kind of lose that contact. So we're looking into all of that as to what the gap is. As far as satisfaction, we like COD. We also do random phone call surveys. The quality assurance team and department does those. The target is to hit 35 random phone call surveys so that we get information each month. So our individuals, what we're measuring here is to encourage them, do they feel that the support coordination, their SC is encouraging them to advocate for themselves, and at 93% is what we were informed of. As well as, are the support coordinators, do you feel your support coordinator is attentive and responsive? We were at 96% for the first quarter as far as from the phone call surveys.
Okay.
Recruitment and retention, that's Amanda's.
Yeah, we can tag team. I can jump in, and how about, do you want to add to it as I go? that good? Okay. So jumping right into support coordination in January, we realized we needed to recruit and retain. So there was a salary survey that was done by MacDDS, and we realized we were with one of the lowest paying support coordination entities in the state, rural areas and everything. And we kind of looked around the larger metropolitan areas and realized, oh my gosh, they're like, they tried 18, that wasn't enough. So then they went to 19. So we did too. So we're at 1925 now for the starting salary, and that's under the regional office's starting salary, and they're recruiting as well, because they just got that 5% across the board raise for state employees.
What is the regional center?
It's like, what,
1.6, I think?
yeah, so I think it's,
$21.
yeah, it's just over, yeah.
And that 1925 puts us right at 40,000.
40,000. So it was 17, I can't remember, 35, 10, and so now it's up. Georgie knows a lot about this because she's been leading the charge as well to do this. And so there were about 10 people in our department that didn't make the 1925 already, and they had been here for a while, so we made sure to kind of right size them, freeze that. And then we're also targeting an SC2 position. We're still analyzing the impact of that and what that will look like implemented. We're looking at that for July 1, which would be a couple percent increase there. Won't be extra responsibilities. It's just a reward for meeting all your targets for the last 12 months. So it's like that, a little more to the ladder there. There's another step up. So we can, because Georgie took a look at the makeup of the department and saw that we've got a lot of new people and a lot of people who've been here 3+ years, and we've got a big gap from that 1 year to 2.5 years. And that's kind of your sweet spot, because as people are fully trained and they're going, but
Really don't want to lose them.
don't want to lose them. And we have lost a lot of those folks.
We
So,
were able to do this through salary savings.
yeah,
Vacant positions.
and all that, yeah. So, then we, Shannon right away saw that she wanted to adjust the focus of our SC supervisors. So she and I have been talking about, really Georgie set us up to be able to turn the page, right? We're off PIPs and support coordination. We're surviving and thriving. So let's stop monitoring like every move a support coordinator makes. So really the SC supervisor role has been verifying almost every task that the SC does, just to make sure we're good and everything's okay. So that's not sustainable, and that's not why anyone got into this work. So it's been really just the beginning of starting this focus on leadership skills, helping the SCs deal with all the conflict they have to deal with and resolve every day, and team building. And Shannon, did you want to say anything else about that?
Yeah, I think, it's never fun being on a PIP, and we had a lot of work, and we did a lot of work. We put a lot of processes in place, and we have a phenomenal staff. They're so dedicated. They are the ones with our individuals, day in and day out, dealing with tremendous amount of support teams around everybody. So really trying to give them that focus back and really bring it back to the person served is really kind of our focus of turning that page.
Yeah, thank you. Good point. We did get to hire a third administrative assistant, which is also a way to take some of the clerical duties off of support coordinators. And by golly, we cannot get bilingual staff to apply. We lost 2 bilingual SCs. We would like to hire them back and then look at an administrative assistant that was also bilingual. That would help with our translation needs and just basic communication. So that's where we are there. And we also were able to implement a new logging policy January 1. Shannon, did you want to talk about that?
Sure, it was just circling back to kind of the performance marker that we were talking about that I kind of pointed out earlier. It really is taking the focus off trying to hit a number of 115 versus just tracking the amazing services that you're providing. So it's a little bit of a mindset shift to ensure that we're focused on the services provided versus this ambiguous number of 115 to hit each month. So it really has taken a better, more meaningful to the individuals. It's a more effective time tracking. They really see the meaning behind it versus just this random number out there that they have to hit a target every month.
Are they having trouble hitting the 115 target?
Yep.
Yeah, it was not the most successful number to hit. We weren't successful for the majority of the time of hitting a 115.
Georgie has been thinking about this for a long, long time, and really, and we all have, who've been in this field for over 30 years, logging is always the biggest obstacle. And what I've seen is when people think about, we're just tracking time, just tracking what you're doing. So I want to go to the results because, February, we got this new policy, was the best February we've ever had with logging. And then March was the best month of revenue ever. So that's a really positive statement. Now, we don't want to leave anyone with the idea that SCs weren't doing their work, weren't doing the responsibilities. It's
They
just
didn't know how to log it.
how, when you shift that focus to saying, track your day, document your whole day, make sure 75% of your day is within 4 people, then it just naturally goes up. And that, I think, was a really great way to frame it, that Georgie really pointed out, and Shannon has, and all the supervisors and all the SCs have just really taken a great step forward. And we're holding people accountable for that. There's a whole performance improvement process in place if you don't meet your targets. And it's really not, oh, you're bad. It's let's shift your mindset to how you're documenting. So
What can we do to make you succeed?
exactly. This is the requirement. It's important. What can we do to help you get there?
Well, and them thinking about their work.
Oh, my battery's running low. That's bad.
Is there apps or something that they utilize? Is there something easy for them to use while they're doing it?
No.
Yeah, see, it's gonna be hard to do that.
Yeah, it's the bane of existence. We're all plugged in. We're good. Okay, so support coordination. Let's see, was that it? Yep. Any questions? Okay. We have training next.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Sorry, I was having trouble with my microphone earlier, so I want to make sure you can hear me first. Great. So as you know, we're very within training. We are.
Hang on, can you say your name?
I'm Lindy Willoughby. I'm the training supervisor.
I haven't seen Lindy before.
No, I am new. Well,
sorry, I can see her right here.
I'm new to the meeting. I have been a training supervisor for coming up on 3-4 years, something like that. But training is very highly connected to TCM. So all the stuff that they were talking about, we are a support to help and continue to support those SCs to help make their logging goals and things like that. So I wanted to make sure then some of the tasks of looking at numbers and supporting the team to reach those numbers. I have encouraged the field trainers to take some of that on a little bit and then just provide information to the supervisors so they're able to focus more on that leadership and stuff that Shannon's been talking about. So we're kind of trying to be a support for both the SCs and the supervisors when it comes to things like that. But I wanted to share with you what I feel.
Go back. Oh, do you want to go back to the mission?
Yes, please. I just wanted to share with you that overall, both provider and ETOS training, we want to be the go-to training tool. This is something that all of the training staff has said for all things related to IDD, not only in Jackson County, but in the state of Missouri. That is our goal. That is very lofty, but I believe we have the skills and the ability to do so. We have some great stuff going about that. So go ahead, Amanda. So right now, we're offering a lot of provider and community trainings. Medication administration, updates, CPR, first aid, general teaching are all trainings that we've offered for quite a very long time. We've started offering trauma and supporting individuals with IDD as regularly scheduled training for providers and community members. And we did our very first regularly scheduled one just a few weeks ago, and they're very well attended. So that's a new one that's on our regular calendar. We also have a regularly occurring one regarding ID and dementia and Alzheimer's that is facilitated by Claudette Price and Andrea Linbell, and they take different viewpoints and supports, and each one of those trainings is for different groups of people. It focuses on a different group of people, caregivers versus staff and things like that. There's a little bit different. And then we have a brand new training in 2022, which is self-care that's done by Claudette. And that is also scheduled quarterly. We're working on getting a few new courses this year as well to add to our ever-growing list. Person-centered supports and charting the life course. We don't have official title, but that's what I'm going to call it for right now. We're hoping to have this planned and developed and ready by this fall. And this is in direct response to a survey that we did of the providers. We sent them a survey and asked them what they felt their training needs were, and there was a lot of interest in something around this. So we're going to hopefully be able to meet that need. Another need that we are really trying to meet is the need for weekend courses. A lot of individuals, staff are unable to make it during the week because they're working with individuals and such. So beginning this summer, we're going to offer, for sure, we already have on the calendar Cpr First Aid Class, and we also have on the calendar Medication Update Class. I just spoke with a potential instructor about providing a full medication administration class a couple times during the summer on a weekend as well. So we'll see if that one pans out. But those are going to be new offerings moving forward for 2022. Our enrollment this year is significantly better than it was this last year. We're actually, this first quarter, we're almost half of what we did all of 2021, just because we're back to doing things in person and we have a regularly scheduled calendar and things like that. But if you notice, our attendance rate's only 69% of those who have enrolled. This, I believe, is a direct result of the fact that we are now offering free training. When I asked, anecdotally, I got some information from Rita Trotter, our training coordinator, and she said that is less people are coming that enrolled. That number, 69% attendance rate, is lower than what it has been in the past when we charged. So that means our next step is going to be developing or trying to find a way to do a no-show payment or late cancellation fee or something like that, because as it is right now, there's not an incentive for people to come. So we have to work on that. So we're going to figure that out. Field training. These are the field trainers that directly support the Tcm department and all of those teams. This first quarter, we supported all 4 of those new SCs, and they're all still currently, well, at the time of this, they were all within the first quarter, they were all still within their 90 days. Few of them are still within their 90 days. The first one just hit her 90 days last week. So, but on top of that, 28 additional SCs were supported, and those SCs have been here for 6 months or plus of employment. So these, when we say supported, that's helping figure out problem solve, help with specific tasks, some coaching, some mentoring, some teaching of how to do the job. So between all 3 of the field trainers, they spent One of the goals that I have for them is that they spend the majority of their time, really 65% of their time, supporting SCs and TCM teams. We initially had set this at 75. That was really difficult during COVID. It has since changed. As you can see, this first quarter, they've been, they averaged 80% of their time spent directly supporting SCs and the teams. Another goal that we have is that the field trainers support all the SCs within their first year in writing annual plans to meet all the necessary requirements, ETOS requirements, and DMH requirements. Our goal for that is to make sure that they're averaging, those scores are averaging 87%. And of the few of the plans that we reviewed, at first quarter, we did 87.7 was the average score of all those plans that we reviewed. We are increasing the number of plans that we are reviewing to include all plans. We were just reviewing funded plans because there's more information in those plans that's required, but we are now moving to every single SC who has started since January. Well, I can't remember the dates. Yeah. Will get a plan reviewed every month if they have one that's due, regardless of whether or not there's paid services or not attached to it. So we can get a little bit better score, because sometimes that would lead with the way we were doing it here. Previously, sometimes there would only be 1 or 2 plans per SC that were reviewed within a quarter, and that sometimes none. And so that doesn't give you a really good, accurate representation of how well they're doing with writing plans and catching all that information. So we're increasing that. One way that we are helping to support with the loggable billable time is that they're supporting the SCs to make sure that they're writing their log notes to capture all necessary elements. The target for that is that these log notes need to include all necessary elements at 90% by their 90 days of employment. The first quarter of this year, they were at 66%, and all of those SCs are still within their 90 days. So there is growth still occurring, and we will have another log review for all of those SCs here in the coming month or two, and we'll see if that 66% increases. Go ahead, Amanda. So one of the new things that we've done within training is done a collaborative effort between the SC supervisors and our team was develop 90-day benchmarks and 6-month benchmarks. These are a way to measure the success not only of whether the training team and their abilities to present and train information, but it also helps measure the SC's ability to do their job. So we've learned over time, the first 6 months as an SC is when you're going to do the bulk of your learning. And then past that point, it's maintaining that knowledge and being able to apply it on a regular basis and using all of those very specific nuanced situations. So that's why we went through 6 months only. So it only has started in January of this year, and we're reviewing it in May after all of the 4 new SCs who participated and started using this have reached past their 90 days to review our 90-day benchmarks to make sure that they're necessary, or make sure we're capturing the right information, make sure we don't need to change some of the things. Did we make goals too difficult? So that is an ongoing project, and it has been it's been very helpful structure around supporting new SCs in knowing what information they need to know. Another thing that's new is a 90-day knowledge check. All new SCs are sent a 90-day knowledge check, which basically looks like a test. It is, I developed this based on the 90-day benchmarks, and we use it to assess the knowledge base of the SCs and determine if there are any training gaps. It also helps us determine if we presented in the information in a way that made sense to them so they could recall this information. There are no new SCs that have taken that knowledge check within that first quarter, since they weren't in their 90 days. We have since had one take it, and she got 86%. Our goal is 87. So I call that a success for the first one taking it. We will see what's going, because it's very close, but we will see what it looks like after the next 3 do it. I do want to point out that we've learned that this 90-day knowledge check.
So they can see you. Sorry.
Oh,
there we go. Yep.
yeah. So one thing I've learned is that the 90-day knowledge check is not a
Oh, that's
Still
weird.
can't see her.
you can't see me. A 90-day knowledge check is not a measure of everything that an SC has to do. It is more of a measure of were they given enough knowledge? The benchmarks and their SC's ability to hit those benchmarks and be able to do the job is, can they apply the knowledge that was learned? So that's how we're getting a better, well-rounded picture of all of that. So this is still in process and still new. We're still evaluating it as it goes to see the efficacy of it. And Shannon and I are keeping really close tabs on how things are going. We meet anytime we need to, really, but to talk about what they mean and what we've learned. So I'm excited to see what changes, if any, need to happen and how things turn out at the end of this group's 90 days.
Interesting.
So I think that's it.
Thank you. I'm trying to figure this out. Why this isn't working. Yep. Thank you, guys. So
Roger says this place is haunted.
it is haunted. It is haunted. So I hope you heard a lot of 115 there. We started a quality council this month, and all of those people are part of the quality council and got to hear the data each other is gathering and how that's all fitting together and shared ideas. We do still have Tracy, and I have my screen on extend, it looks like, rather than.
When you're trying to figure that out, I was just going to say, probably speaking for all of us,
Yeah.
that I know that this was a massive undertaking for all of you who did that, and we deeply appreciate it. To all of the data points, it was really well done and really good measures. We've been talking about that for a long time on all of those points. And then scrambling to get it together in time for this meeting is tricky. I know that you're working up to the last minute. So I appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm failing miserably. Duplicate. That didn't help. Keep changes. Keep the changes. Nope.
It's tricky because it's like monitor 1, monitor 2.
I don't want to.
It's hard.
Nope. Revert. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. Why showing PowerPoint screwed that up.
Never seen that.
Okay.
That's Lindy.
We see you now.
Expand that little green arrow.
I don't know what to do. Okay. So.
There you go.
Well, we have, yeah, but I
She said, I
can't.
still have a PowerPoint presentation.
Well, no, I can't. Yeah, I got to pull Tracy's PowerPoint presentation up unless Tracy, are you ready to go with talking through yours? You're muted.
I can pull it up on here.
I got it. It won't do, okay. It won't help if you do it. Board report, agency relations. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea what is being seen on the people who are on
Online.
Zoom.
I'm not seeing anything.
We just see each other.
Okay.
But they're seeing it here.
Yeah. Yep. So, yep, I failed. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Tracy, can you just talk real fast?
So is the PowerPoint pulled up where people can see it there?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, let me pull it up on my end. I think I just have it here.
Okay, good.
And I'm going to try to talk through it, and hopefully Amanda can change the slides as I go.
Yep.
So I'm just moving from the intro slide to the next slide.
Yep, got it.
So this is just the data that we have from the agencies, the number of people that attended programs, I did see a little bit of an increase in some programs. There are some, you'll see some blanks there. And for some reason, I don't know if Tom would maybe mention this, we just had some trouble with getting all the contracts put in the right place and the agencies providing the right amount of documents. I think there were some changes within contracts. So we've just been missing some pieces that help us pay the agencies as they provide us documentation. So I think this will get worked out. I'm still working with several of the agencies on that. Just some key points for this year is we're changing our contract. Sorry, I just said that changed the contracts made some problems.
Next slide.
Well, the Transition Academy is not quite on there yet. The only thing about that is that they haven't started working directly with individual people. And so their big kickoff was last week. They did a really amazing job or a college and career fair. And it was for kids in the urban districts that really have had poor transition services for a really long time. That was, if you can remember back to when we talked about data from DESI, those were the schools that really had nothing to report. They weren't doing follow-ups with kids. And when they did follow-ups with kids after they graduated, they weren't doing anything. They weren't working or anything. So so she's focused on that. That's her big mission. And she's got so much energy and had some really great people there at that event. It was really highly attended. She did a great job putting it on and getting the word out. So we'll start seeing information about her. So I thought maybe I would just share with you what we decided to do with the outcomes. We talked about during the funding process that the outcomes needed to be changed. We were seeing a lot of anecdotal information, a lot of good stories, but we weren't really seeing data collected and reported on. And so it was kind of hard to make heads or tails of how they achieved their goals. So Amanda, Sarah, and I met with the agencies. We did almost a one day. We ended up with a few others. 30 minutes back to back. Amanda was not, were you happy with me?
It was awesome.
So I kind of had all the stuff prepared so that we could do just a little brief training with each agency, provide them with the documentation that they would need, which I'm going to show you in just a minute. But I'm sorry, I have two dogs playing at my feet. After we met with them, we asked them to have their information to us by March 1st. And then once we got that information, we had some tweaks that we needed them to make. So then we wanted it back by April 1st. And we're still struggling with some of them. There's a big learning curve for some agencies, though, especially the ones that, some of them that aren't CARF accredited, had a hard time with the effectiveness and efficiency. They had a hard time with targets and that kind of thing. So we want to get it right. So we're just taking the time to meet with them individually again. And I'm a little over halfway there. Also, I'm losing Sarah Vallandingham. She leaves tomorrow. She gave her 2 weeks notice. She decided that her family and kids need her time. So it'll be just me. So I am working on that. I just want to let you guys know that. Then several of the, let's see here. I'm sorry.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think that's it on that one. So this is just some information that we provided to them that day. We wanted agencies to focus on effectiveness and experience or satisfaction. We wanted to see that positive things were happening for the people they support, and that they were reporting that they were happy about the supports they were getting from the providers. So that was the two areas from CARF indicators that we had asked them to kind of focus on. And then the next page, we just gave them some examples. So we wrote down like workshops, what kind of targets would you be looking to meet? And the next page, competitive employment, what might we want to see there? And so we gave them some percentages and some things we'd like them to consider consider doing. And then we gave them this and they reported their indicators back to us, which I'm realizing I left a few numbers off, but this was our framework that we wanted them to put it in so that when they reported their data back to us, they can fill out a simple form online and just give us percentages. And so I'll show you that too. So we have this form, they just plug in their information, they do their outcomes and their targets, and then I know what they connect to, and I'll put that together for you all in reports.
Email them a link. And Microsoft form they fill out.
Yeah, so it's really small. So it's a Microsoft form they fill out. It's super easy. And then this, when the information is filled out on the form, it all comes to this Excel spreadsheet that I still have some training to do with some of the agencies because we just want the data there. So I'm just looking for percentages. They want to tell us a lot of things. And so what we have told them was that I will meet with them every quarter and I will hear all their stories, all the great things they're doing, things that maybe aren't working out very well for their outcomes. And I'll still reflect that in my report, but they don't have to report that to me. I just need the percentages of their outcomes. So we'll just keep working on that. We have some wordy people that love to tell stories. So here's some examples of what I'm getting back. So this is what Blue Valley chose to do as far as their performance targets. And then all we ask for is the data source. Where are they keeping the information or getting the information from? And they had to look at effectiveness and satisfaction.
We can go through a few of these and then we'll emailing this to you.
Yeah, I'll send those to you because reading through it right now is a little much. There are some that you might even see that needs a little work. And so we're still working on those, but I did want to show you kind of what I was getting from agencies. And I'll send that out. Let's see.
Okay.
And I think the only thing that I had at the end there was the wages at the sheltered workshops. I try to always enter that. It did get access to a report that goes to DESI, so I have the exact numbers. Should be able to get that every quarter. So this is kind of where we were in March. So that's it.
That one. That's good.
Maybe one day I'll be able to add all this stuff into Amanda's report. We'll see.
Thank you very much.
Even though I won't be here, my goal for you all is that when you start looking at the funding process next year or the end of this year, you'll have this data from Tracy of how well they're doing based upon the outcomes that they decided for the people that should be doing. So that should be helpful to you all. So.
Thank you. 2 hours. Wow. You guys are amazing.
Yes.
So are you. It's great.
Yeah, this was really great.
Nice report.
You all did great work there.
Absolutely.
It was a lot to pull in for a whole quarter.
Yeah.
We really do appreciate it.
Yeah. It's a lot of good data. Thank you.
They're amazing.
Are there any questions? I don't want to miss the people that are online. So, wave your hand so we don't miss you. All right. Anybody else in the room with questions? Thank you again, everybody. So we'll just move right along to any new business? Any old business? Any public comment? I see no hands. So I'm gonna put maybe we're.
And no public, they're all talked out.
I know, they're like, okay, it's 7:30. All right, I think we're good. Everybody, is there a motion to adjourn?
I moved.
Susan moved. Who's the second?
Second.